Welcome to this series on the ICF Core Competency training. As said in the introduction video, we want to take the time to learn and understand what are the core competencies that help define what is actually coaching. And we will take the time to take each of these core competency, understand what they mean, hear what they sound like across the various level ACC, PCC, and MCC, and see some of the things you could do to grow these competencies. We are starting with the basic, the initial one, which is the ethical. Yeah, the core competency on ethics. I'm trying to share the slides. Yeah. So the core competency one is the one that says demonstrate the coach. You will see, you will notice that core competencies are defined in terms of like a verb, demonstrates, listens actively, evoke. So it's what the coach does. These are the competencies expected of a coach. And as you can see, well, this ethical is part of the group of foundation because the core competencies are grouped into four big categories. One and two like the foundation, and then the next one, the next grouping is for co-creating the relationship, where we have the agreement, we have trust and safety, we have presence. These are the elements that really help to co-create. After the foundation of the mindset, what's actually the job, the posture of the coach, the next thing is co-creating that relationship with the client in the conversation. And then the next one is the group of competencies related to communication, effective communication. There you will have things like active listening is part of that. Also being able to evoke is like the way you ask question, the way you listen are part of the effective communication skills. And then the last grouping is facilitating learning and growth. So four big groups: foundation, co-creating the relationship, effective communication, and facilitating the learning and the growth of the client. The first one we are talking about here, which is demonstrating, the coach demonstrate ethical practice, is part of that foundation. One quick remark I'll make before we dive deep in is the fact that they're using verb. If you notice the verb for each core competency, these are active verbs. Demonstrates, listens, evoke. Is what the coach does. So it's core competencies for the coach. Um, as I was explaining in another video, this is like the general plan we will use for these core competencies. We'll start by like looking at the definition. How does ICF define that core competency? What it looks like, what the competency look like across the level. Sorry if I'm trying to speak fast. It's like my producer says I have to keep this under 15 minutes, and I felt like, oh my god, all these slides. So I think I'll take a pause and take a deep breath and just focus on what could be given. The good news is, even if we cannot cover all the slides, they are made available in your member area, so you would have access to these slides. You can download and have everything that was put on the slide. I think there's like more than 20 slides. I would like describe and make comment on each of the slides, but even if we don't cover everything in the 15 minutes videos, you have access to the slides. Go through them, take and learn from it as much as possible. I think it helps me be more quiet. So let's jump into what is demonstrate ethical practice. Well, according to ICF, the coach understands and consistently applies coaching ethics, the standards of coaching in their practice, but also in the conversation. One thing that you will notice about this core competency, there are some explanation that apply within the conversation, but also applies within the coaching itself. This is one of them. So there are some behavior that will demonstrate ethics in being a coach, in the way you run your coaching business, in who you are as a coach, and some that apply within the coaching conversation. So, what does that mean? Demonstrates ethical practice. Well, the coach does this by demonstrating integrity, sensitivity, respecting the client, um, showing integrity in his interaction with the client, in the way he runs his practice, in who he's being, in respecting ICF ethics and value, in respecting the confidentiality agreement, in respecting the boundaries, like being a coach and staying in the lane of the coach, not doing other things like therapy, consulting. And when a client, someone they're working with, may require a service that do not belong to what is the responsibility of a coach demonstrate integrity by referring to the right profession. So we can quickly dive in details. Well, integrity and honesty, like who you are, these are like qualities of being. Are you honest? This is essential. Um, are you someone who walks the talk? Are you honest in your interaction with the clients, with those who are sponsoring your clients, with all the people involved in the coaching process? One may say, well, what does integrity has to do with all of this? Integrity has a lot to do because this is a domain where trust is really central. Trust, like if the client don't trust you, they will not open up, they'll not feel safe to really discuss and allow you to go deep in the conversation or really bring the topics of interest to them. If the sponsors do not trust you, they'll not pay, they'll not fund that coaching. It's really essential, and that's why there are some people who will say, as a coach, you should always do everything to preserve the relation, to preserve the trust. It's really central. If there's no trust, there cannot be really effective coaching. So being someone who walks the talk, and that's why when the member doubts, when you do something or you show up in a way that creates doubt, in a way or another, you will notice in the next conversation something has changed. And it is to avoid that as a coach, you see, is number one, integrity and honesty. Integrity and honesty with everyone, not just a member, not just in the conversation, but anyone involved, like HR people you negotiate the deals with. This one is a deal breaker, it's a showstopper. And even for the profession of coaching, please, this is central. What impact on your clients, on people you've worked with, if later on, well, there's some kind of scandal or not honesty things attached to you, who would want to work with you again? It is really, really central. Another point is, okay, how sensitive are you to the client's identity, their environment? How do you respect that? Taking the client as they want. Ethics require that you take people as they are. We are from different backgrounds, from different places with different values, different belief system, different religion, different culture. As a coach, you should be sensitive and respect. Take the client exactly where they are, not showing some kind of judgment. It shouldn't mean perceive that maybe you have some judgment with the client. Like nobody will want to work with you if they feel judged. It sounds like, well, it's natural, but I feel like, hey, check yourself. If there are some cultures, if your client belongs, say, to a group where you feel like, I'm not really sure, as a coach, you should take people as they are. It's important to respect people as they are with their culture, their identities, and their value. Another important thing which goes under this ethics is your ability as a coach to use a respectful language, like in the conversation, but also with all the people involved in the coaching. And this is something very, very important to the Coaching Federation, that they have developed the ICF Code of Ethics that lists the values, that lists the core things that align the vision of ICF in terms of ethics and value. And it is so important that as coaches, we need to study, understand, and be able to embody those value in our practice. If you don't, well, there might be great chance that you could be sanctioned. These are important. I mean, they contribute to the standard, to the value, to the quality of the coaching we want to give. So I feel like taking a little stop here and ask you, have you studied, have you passed, have you validated your ethics course? And there are a lot of resources that ICF has made available. I think maybe in some other slides, yeah, there's a lot of resources. And you see, ICF is making a lot of efforts to make this ethics thing understood and embodied by as many coaches, like everyone should. And they're making efforts translated in many languages, many more videos and series, and a lot continuing to be developed by ICF to make it easy, to make this something that is just part of who you are as a coach. Seems like I've talked too much. I will take a little break and we will discuss like how you check on how you're doing on ethics. How is this core competency evaluated when you're working on your credentials? See you after this quick break. Not sure exactly what is going on, but I heard no sound. So I hope you can still hear me. I will check after the video is recorded, but hopefully that little transition had sound. When I was watching from here, it was like, no sound, and I couldn't stop to check everything. Yeah, so how is ethics demonstrate ethical value demonstrated in the coaching evaluation when you're working on your ICF credential? Well, this one is measured in your posture. Like there are no behavior statements to describe, there are ACC bar, MCC bar, there are no such thing for the ethical, but it shows in your recording. For example, if you are in a coaching session, but what you're doing is kind of you're behaving as a psychotherapist, or the coaching conversation sounds more like a counseling, there might be break of ethics, and the person listening to your recording, if they flag that there's an ethical issue here, if you're being a psychotherapist instead of being a coach, it will not pass. That recording will not pass. So if you're not really staying in your posture, we will talk some more about that in the core competency too, which is the mindset. It will show in the way you do your coaching, and sometimes it could be something difficult. Maybe if you are a psychotherapist and you want to add coaching to the things you do, it's really important to be able to separate the two. Coaching is a different it's a completely different thing. So if you call yourself, and this is a coaching session, but you're doing psychotherapy, we are in trouble here. Separate the two, maybe offer different time slot, but don't mix the two in one thing. So quickly, wanted to share some more resources. Yeah, I said there were a lot available on ICF website. Please just go there right now. You see all these things. You have links, you have overview, you have resources in various languages, you have all the research done around that, you have a team of people to help you implement ethical practice. If you have any questions around that, I really, really, really encourage going on the page of ICF and seeing. Another thing I really love about the ICF is that they keep um, upgrading, they keep developing new content. Like the course I did like 5 years ago, or when I was starting my coaching, is not the same now. So they keep doing research, learning from research, integrating that into new content. And they also have a very good series on ICF core competencies. I think I will add a link in your membership site where you can have access to that video directly. I didn't want to include it here. I would have paused my 15 minutes. I think that video is around 10 or something around that line. So if I added it, couldn't have been, I couldn't have been able to share what I'm sharing now, but I will definitely send a link, and you have all the details. There's no reason why you shouldn't abide and be great with this ICF core competency. There's a lot of resources, a lot of example, and the ethic course is free. So there's no way a coach can say, well, I don't know, I don't have that. It's there, it's available in all the languages. Just go learn and check yourself. When I was preparing this, there was this question that came to my mind. How are you abiding today? Like, if you had to check yourself now, how are you abiding by ICF ethical code of conduct? Oh, well, yeah, in general, we'll be tempted. If you were asking me the question, I was saying, yeah, I think I do. I do. Well, it's foundational. Now, Judith, how do you know you do? What makes you say that? What facts? What can you observe, notice in your coaching that demonstrates, or in the way you run your coaching business, your interaction with all the stakeholders? What are the elements that show you really abide by the ethical conduct of ICF? I'll let you go with this reflection, and I will pause like the course on core competency for this specific core competency here. Yes, it sounds like basic. What did I learn? Well, essentially, there's an ethical standard set by ICF. Is well described on the website, the ethical code of conduct. Get to know that. But even beside the ICF thing, are you showing integrity and honesty? Are you respecting the client? Are you keeping their information confidential? Are you being sensible to who they are, their value, their identity, and their beliefs? Are you also staying ethical in your work, staying in your lane, coaching, not diving or mixing, and where necessary, referring clients to other helping function that could help them? That's ethics. Hopefully, you do that in your coaching practice. And I will invite you, like, this series is part of the mentor coaching wagon where we learn from the recording. One way to really test how you're doing, essentially listen to your coaching. Are you staying in your posture of a coach? um are you keeping things confidential? Are you really respecting the client in their identity? Listen and check by yourself. The next step will be the core competency 2, which is the coaching mindset. It's a new one. Well, when I mean new, 10 years ago, we didn't have this one, but now we have it because ICF has understood that like mindset is everything. When a coach really understand, I'm coaching from which place? How do I see myself? A helper who finds solution, a helper who tells the client, or a helper who creates the environment for the client to find a solution. We'll talk some more about the coaching mindset in the next core competency. Until next time, listen and learn from your recording, but also observe and notice how you're being in your coaching conversation. It's a pleasure, and I'm looking forward to continuing exploring ICF core competencies with you.